Kelsey and Drew. And they're the new horses that belong to my friend Robbie. That's going to drive them for the first time today.
I'm a farmer who has Blue Stem Farms in Amelia, Virginia. About 450 acres of it have been in varieties of cropland over the years, but we've been slowly moving away from hydrocarbon intensive crops and moving towards managed intensive grazing, grass finished ruminants, cattle and sheep. But even then our input stayed high. And when I say high, I'm talking thousands of dollars of diesel fuel, you know, fertilizer bills. I'm talking NPK fertilizer, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium. You know, we were spending tens of thousands of dollars a year. Too much money on tractors and equipment. You know, you have $250,000 in tractors and hay and equipment to support a herd of 200 mamas. It's easy too to think that technology, another fertilizer, another genetically modified plant is going to cure man's problems. But there's a bigotry that the human race carries, and that is if an ideology or if a way of accomplishing a thing is new, it by virtue of its newness must be better. And the more I looked at land and the more I looked at my soil and how the soil responded to petrochemicals and those nitrogenous-based fertilizers, so realizing, oh man, I had a bucket list, and on this bucket list, which is motivated by that desire to be a good steward, there we go, we got horses. I've been researching drafts for a while. Jason Rutledge had imported just a few years ago some new genetics from England. He also is a good horseman and a trainer of the wannabe teamster.
Head up, head up, head up. Don't ever stand directly over his head, because when a prey horse becomes alarmed, the first thing they want to do is raise their head as high as possible to see all the boogers around them. So when a horse has head on the ground, never stand directly over it, because they get alarmed, their head's coming up, and it'll hit you right in the face and knock you out.
If this vocation, this stewardship, this husbandry, if it gets to drive in you, you lose sight of the beauty. And there's a beauty to a well-kept farm, or a farm that's loved. A hayfield looks a lot different when it's being tended by a horse than a 100 horsepower tractor. Now the horses are obviously slower, and many would argue less efficient. A horse, the better it's trained and the better it's treated and the more willing partner you have for it, the more value the horse has. So the more I use it, the more valuable it is. The more I use my tractor, well, of course, we know it's depreciating. Start from the front.
Yeah, you always hook from the front first. Step forward, baby. Stay right there on the head. And to stop them from moving forward, use your bits. And if you want to pull them forward, use your halters.
Okay.
All right, when I gather these lines up, touch me in the mouth, you just step off to the left and away we go. Ooh, babies. Ooh, babies. Ooh, come on.
I had a very technical education in undergrad to become an optometrist, and I had a understandably technocratic worldview. If technology would cure it, if a problem came up, mankind would come up with a solution. And after 20 years of watching that, marriage, family, kids being born, starting to farm, I realized, whoa, man, sometimes our problems came from our previous solution. You know, when the salesman comes to me and he wants to sell me tires for my tractor, and these tires have a new rubber hardness to keep your corn stalks from poking your tire. I'm thinking, whoa, why do I need that? I've been getting flat tires and it is the corn stalks. Why? Well, we put a BT gene in the corn, so now we got Bacillus thuringiensis in the corn. Of course, that keeps the corn borer out of the corn, but it also keeps those little mice eats from just eating the corn and it decaying back into the ground. So these corn stalks sit there. Oh, well, we'll spray some nitrogen on it and increase the combustion. So I'm spraying nitrogen on corn stalks to get rid of the corn stalks. I'm buying a tire that's harder so that it's not flattened by the corn stalks. You know, I got a better idea. I'm going to quit the GMOs and I'm going to plant some grass and mix the legumes, the glasses, the forbs in a field, try to bring it back to life. Interestingly, it took me 3 years to get it from repeated exposure to GMOs and the herbicides to get the grass established.
I mean, you've got it. You just have to do the practice. You understand the principles. You've got nice contact with your hands. if I can get you to lower your voice and be a little more even tone so that they know that you're not mad at them, that the sweeter you talk to them, the sweeter they're going to be. And when you get up the crest of this hill, if they feel good, rest them again.
I'm working with an animal that's constantly feeling every inflection through those lines, my heartbeat. If my tension changes, they get an idea. What do I want to? What does he want me to do? And obviously it's a big learning curve for me and for them.
Contact, command, and release.
Step up.
Control them from the first step. There you go. Gather and split again. Get that perfect tension. Try to keep this at the right angle. Forearms parallel. There you go. You can let out line. Get your elbows perfect, just like you want it. When everything is going perfect, that's when you stop. Usually, when everything's going perfect, we all want to keep going, and that's the opposite thinking for the horses, because they need to be rewarded for their proper behavior, and the best reward is cessation of demand.
We're having a group get together, and I'm cutting up my broccoli, and the gal next to me is cutting up her broccoli. She, oh my word, you have a worm in your broccoli? And I went, oh, well, you don't? She said, well, I don't want to eat a worm. I said, I don't either, but I don't want to eat broccoli that a worm doesn't want to eat. And I want to know that my grandchildren and great-grandchildren who will inherit this farm can walk barefooted, can eat asparagus right out of the ground, can go out and harvest spinach and not worry that it's been washed twice or 3 times.
Ooh, ooh.
Good, good. They'll get better.
Right.
They will get better. They'll get so eventually they'll do whatever you want them to do with the subtlest of signals. And that's the whole idea, is for you to have the least amount of exchange for the maximum amount of response.
I'm excited for the farm to open up to them. My son's down there now working to make sure things are ready.